Episode 11. 11. I have to thank Miss Kelly Gray for suggesting this week's guest. This week's guest is going to be Travis Mickel. I didn't know much about Travis at all. Had no idea. Met him for the first time. Travis was really fun to work with. We got to shoot in his studio where he teaches meditation recovery, but there's also people that are not in recovery. He's going to talk about that. Crazy story this guy has. I was most impressed with how he's able to look at the world. I wish everybody had just a tad bit of the kindness and natural empathy that he has for others and their situation. It's a beautiful thing. Hilarious conversation. This week is with Travis Mickel.
Once saw a mystery. To think that you'll get very far. You could remake history. And you would be a superstar. I think I know. Wanna be for real. And it shows. So if you got something to say,
How long have you been doing this?
What? Fronting Life?
No, yeah, like the.
Dude, I started it 2.5 years ago. It'll be 3 years, September 14th.
That's great.
Yeah.
And it's grown to like 60 people. And
I've had over 3,500 people meditate with me over the past 2.5 years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is it all recovery?
No, so it started as recovery, but then people in recovery were bringing their spouses or their friends and that weren't in the program. So we expanded past that. So we're at like a 60-40 split, 60% recovery, 40% not. But it's a place where anybody who's trying to live a more holistic lifestyle can meet each other and kind of create deeper connections and a foundation for themselves.
So cool. That's so positive. That's so positive. I think recovery in general needs more positivity. And what this show is all about, I hate the word podcast. I don't know why, because it's what it fucking is.
Yeah.
But I hate it.
I'm like, we're on a fucking podcast.
We're
right
on a
now.
fucking podcast,
I'm just
dude.
take it for what it is, the truth. We need a little honesty in our lives.
It is. It is. But one thing that I try to like get out as much as possible, and I always like to see what everybody does differently, because I personally, when I got sober over 7 years ago, it was the rooms and everything was black and white, and that's fine if that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a religious person, but due to my spouse being very spiritual and goddess and
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain it. Witchy, I don't know.
I love a witch.
I do too. I'm married to one. I got tired of seeing people get judged. Like a friend of mine that has been clean off of heroin for like over 7 years still has a beer every now and then. Still smokes weed every now and then. Is it safe? No. Is it the correct way to do it? I mean, for them, if it's working,
Yeah.
is it more of a statistic that they might fall off? Fuck statistics.
Yeah.
If it works, it works. Are you sober?
Yeah.
Like you in recovery?
Yeah.
What was your
100%.
date?
June 1st, 2021.
Nice. What was, June 1st?
Yeah.
What was the day before that like?
The day before that, I was actually, I moved down to North Carolina with my first and I was here for 9 months and I was clean and whatnot. And then took this 2-month hiatus. And first of all, the drugs are crap down here compared to New York City. I was like, why do I keep doing this? But it went from 0 to really quickly. And I was at a party with a bunch of guys that were doing the same drugs that I do. And I was just like, why am I putting myself in these sexual situations? And I don't even find these people attractive. And I don't even want to be around them. And I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And that's when I went to my first 12-step meeting here,
Okay.
which was it was very beautiful for me. I loved
Yeah.
that experience, but it was a lot of how the fuck are you doing this again? You already ruined your amazing life in New York City. You moved in with your parents at 31 years old. You're living in Wilmington, North Carolina. Are you fucking doing this again?
Oh yeah. So you had tried to got sober before,
Yeah.
and then came down here and got sober, and then yeah. That's it's good to be self-aware. So no treatment, rehab.
Yeah, that time I didn't. Before I got down here, I was in a treatment facility for 6 weeks. I was having what's the word I'm looking for? Visual and auditory hallucinations.
Mhm.
So like I would see other people's faces on other people. I was hearing words and whispers and ideas, and like there was a complete tear between reality. And at that time there were some investigations going on and stuff, so I couldn't tell the difference between what was real and what wasn't. So I woke up in a sex party in New York City, and I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? And I got on a train. I went to my aunt's house. I told her everything that was going on, and she was like, "Baby, we got to get you to treatment." And I went into a facility for 6 weeks, and they shocked my brain to get brain cohesion. And I remember the day they were like, "We don't know if this psychosis is gonna go away."
Yeah.
And I remember like 4 weeks in, like adamantly, like I woke up one day and I like looked at everybody, and everybody had their regular faces, and like I wasn't hearing any voices anymore, and it was like this super overwhelming. I call it a spiritual awakening at that moment, because I
Right.
was like, I have to do something about this. Like I have to take this seriously. And from that point forward, I was like, this is the life I'm going to live now on. And as you know, some of it we stumble
You
sometimes.
do?
And that was about 7 months before that, like COVID kind of started.
Mhm.
So there wasn't really much to go to. So I was down here in Wilmington. There's no meetings open. I'm moved in with my parents. I'm living there. And I did it for a while because I'm like a researcher and analyzer.
Right.
So like I read all the books, and I got really big into meditation and mindfulness and doing like the Monroe Institute and all these different types of frequencies and sound. And I did a whole bunch of different programs. And then I realized, like, about 9 months in, when I relapsed and I was using for about a month or two, I was like, I need a community.
Mhm.
And the biggest community I know of are the 12-step fellowships.
Yeah.
And that's when I started my 12-step fellowship recovery journey.
This town has such amazing community for recovery. Like we're really lucky.
Yeah.
I didn't take advantage of it. Like I was a stand-up comic and kind of fucked everything up with booze. So I had an ego.
Yeah.
So I'd walk in and I would listen, and then I'd see people, and I was also freshly sober and lonely. So I was just looking at everybody of
Yeah.
like, who can I try to hook up with?
Yeah.
And then I got a sponsor, and he was just like, you're fucking stupid if you're thinking that way.
Slow the fuck down.
Yeah, like you need to come sit by me
Yeah.
at meeting. He actually had me at one meeting turn my chair around just to listen, to
Yeah.
not look at people. Like I wasn't like I think it was more of a lonely thing and not a sexual thing, but I don't know because I never tested the waters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But the community here, that's kind of like my only regret for my early recovery is not embracing it. Like I still have friends,
Yeah.
but I didn't get into, like, I always thought that I wasn't, like, I'm one of those people that's very self-conscious of, oh, they don't want me here. I don't belong.
Yeah.
Like, these people are better than me, which is completely weird because I'm an arrogant fuck. So I don't know where it comes from. But so when you got into the community, you did the whole 12 steps sponsor.
Yeah, I did the whole like shebang. And mine was kind of like the opposite of you. When I came into recovery, at that point I was a little different, because before I started the 12 steps, I started Dharma recovery, which is like a Buddhist inspired approach to recovery,
Mhm.
but there's not a large community around that. So there's not a lot of people holding you accountable. When I started that, it was like maybe 5 or 6 of us,
Ooh.
and they were between the ages of 60 and 70, and I was like 31, 32 years old. So I got a lot of wisdom, I got a lot of teachings, but like I didn't have those people to hold me accountable.
Right.
I didn't have that community to learn. Like I didn't get clean to be fucking boring. I got
Right.
clean to have fun. Like, I want to live my life. I want to be able to go anywhere in the world and know that I'm secure and I have a foundation and I can continue to live my life. I don't want to hide from any place in the world.
Right.
I want to make myself as strong as possible so that no matter what temptation that comes up, like, I have the tools necessary to navigate that in the world.
So it was more of just I need people. Yeah, it would be kind of hard for them to hold you accountable when they're asleep by 5.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, that's cool. It sounds like you're so self-aware
Yeah.
of yourself, which
Kind of.
is such a great strength to have and a characteristic to have. So, I mean, I think I have that, but who am I to say? Other people kind of have to decide that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, oh, I'm beautiful. Well, that's for everybody else to see.
Yeah.
And think.
I
Of.
mean, sometimes you're just fucking beautiful.
Right? Yeah, you got it. You kind of have to feel it to at least.
Yeah. If everybody says it, then it must be true, right?
Right. Right. Nobody said it. They. So after you did that, the Buddhist recovery, how long was it before you actually like found that community and said, "Oh shit, these people are my family"? Like met a group of people that kind of brought you in that you hung out with on a regular basis.
In recovery, yeah. Instantaneously. So I like went to my first meeting. I did all the things that they told you to do. I raised my hand. I was like, I'm new. I'm from New York City. I don't have any friends here. I need help. And it was a large meeting, like 150 people.
Wow.
And the person who is my sponsor now came up to me and was like, "Hey, we go and get tacos after this. You should come with us." So like a lot of people like engaged with me. Like there was a lot of like interest. And then we went out and we talked and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I didn't get a sponsor like that night, but I was like, I'm gonna continue to go to meetings. And it was great. The recovery community down here, like in Wilmington specifically, is pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
But with that comes there's like your level of like fuck boy, and then there's also your level of like people who are actually doing this because this is the life they want to live.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing you have to navigate in the beginning is like who actually wants to be here and who's just doing this because they have no other option.
Right. Which desperation could lead to
Yeah.
success, but can you? I've always believed that humility, for me personally, humility has been my biggest strength because I'm not afraid to embrace that humility and
Yeah.
not take it as embarrassment and hide. I'm just like, oh, yeah, I know that feeling. Let's change that characteristic or that event and make sure that I can stand taller from it instead
Yeah.
of cowering down. You kind of
100%.
sound like you do that too.
Yeah,
which is
I
cool.
I embrace mistakes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't like making them. They're uncomfortable. I've realized that if I go into a mistake head on and I'm like, hey, I did this and I understand it upset you and I'm going to work on this, rather than trying to hide behind the mistake or pretending it doesn't happen. Honesty is like one of the pillars of what I like, how I walk in the world. Honesty, integrity, and compromise are and communication are like basically my four kind of things that I focus on most.
Yeah.
Because I realized I don't know how to communicate. I don't know. First of all don't know how to communicate to myself about my feelings. I don't know what's the truth or like what is the honest truth for myself because when I got here, I'd been telling myself lies for such a long time.
Yeah.
And I needed somebody to help me unpack that. I had to be willing to look at myself and assume that anything I was telling myself wasn't true. And like to be able to get to that point to question every truth you have, it takes a lot of humility.
Yeah.
To assume that you don't have the answers. Asking for help is difficult because I was taught like you should have the fucking answers, and if you don't, you go find them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's like a rough and tumble kind of way. And there's a softer way. There's an easier way where you go to people that have experience, they have something that you want, and you kind of follow them.
Mhm.
And kind of allow them to guide you in making your choices and reflecting on the life you once lived for the life you're going to live. And that was the hardest thing. The drugs that the drugs and everything were the easy part. It was like the addiction to the lifestyle and the addiction to the behaviors and all the things I attached to after I let go of my coping mechanism. And that's what I focus on. Like, I always knew the drugs weren't the problem.
Yeah.
Like, I came in here like, unless some people are like, no, it's the drugs and the alcohol. And I'm like, keep coming back. It works if you're worth it. But I'm like, it's not ever going to be, it's not the substances. It's not what you're doing. It's me. It's the way I process things. It's the way I'm not willing to look at things and uncover things and communicate and compromise and come to a new realistic. I have to be honest with myself. Like, if I have a problem in life, it's most likely because of the choices I made, or the choices I made because of something someone did to me.
Right.
So I have to be willing to take accountability even for things that like I had no part of, because it's like being molested as a kid. Like, I had no part of that.
Right.
But like also using that as a tool to manipulate people and using it as like fear and anger and anxiety towards the world, like that's what I could control. It's like not allowing that to turn me into a monster, but allowing that to be a point that I grow and I find strength from, which is where I am now. So it's like reinterpreting all of these hurts I've experienced in my life to turn them into strengths rather than reasons to isolate or disconnect me from other people.
That's fucking beautiful. It really is. In active addiction, were you this cup half full?
No, I was fun. I was always the life of the party. Like, my friends like love me. I could go out and have a good time, but like I was a cunt. Like, I would come at you sideways if you came at me twisted.
Right.
Like, I had no problem telling you what you needed, how you were going to get there, and where you could go to find it. I had no problem. And it was like, but I was protecting myself.
Right.
Like, I realized that amount of funny at the expense of other people, I wasn't doing that for laughs. I was doing that because I was scared. And like, it's fun to be funny, but I've realized you can be funny and not do it at the expense of other people. Or at the expense of yourself, because I'd be like, I'm just a cunt, you know what I mean? And like, I wore that as a badge of honor, but I've stopped using that, you know what I mean? I was just a person who was suffering and knew, and this is how I knew how to handle the world to protect myself.
Yeah. It's establishing some sort of defense and dominance to be able to manipulate yourself into a situation. I totally did that. In fact, I kind of still have those moments.
Yeah.
Not with like my family, like inside my house, inside my bubble.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, fucking leave it to Beaver Dad. Like, well, I cuss in front of my kids sometimes. Not the youngest one, but the oldest ones. There's just too many other things.
I mean, it's part
of
of life.
It is. It is. I don't care if my kid's like, oh fuck, when he's like playing a video game. I don't care. But don't get sent home from school.
Yeah, because you told somebody to go fuck themselves in the middle of math class.
Right. Yeah. But I still have that thing to where I still, if I'm in a new situation, I still kind of have that kind of peacock.
Yeah.
You know, I spread the feathers.
Yeah.
And look, man, my feathers are not that full and beautiful anymore.
They're as full and beautiful as you want to make them.
Yeah, I would like to think that too. But I'm just at the point now, and I kind of just realized that this year is I don't have to worry about pulling those feathers out anymore, because what does it fucking matter?
Yeah.
I'm 44 years old. I've accomplished majority of the things that I didn't know were on my list to accomplish.
Yeah.
You know? Do you feel like, you mind me asking, how old are you now?
I'm 36 now.
Oh, you're a baby! You're a baby! So how far the steps? I never did the steps. A lot of my family members did, and they're wonderful humans. Most people that I know have done the steps and have really kind of put themselves, you know, into their own spirit to be able to see inside and out. Have had great success for it. The one thing that always got me was the inventory thing, because I don't remember most of the shit that I did, you know?
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of hard to take inventory on it. And in men's, I never really, like, I was like I was kind of the life of the party. Like, I was the guy that everybody wanted to come drink until they had that one sip, and then they're like, now he needs to go home.
Yeah.
You know?
And I also left before that happened. So like, sometimes I'd be that person where it's like, you have that last drink or whatever, and you're like, My friends called it Linda. They're like,
It's a great name.
is Linda coming out tonight? And I was like, go fuck yourself. But sometimes, like, because I was so heavily into the drugs, I would go make the appearance, have the fun, and then disappear because I created separate lives.
Right.
So it's like I had these people who supported me and like loved me, and then I also had this other life that existed, and like I kept them separate. And like my life before, like I was quite successful in the luxury fashion industry, and like I worked my way up, and I worked for a prominent luxury brand, and me and my friends, we traveled around the world, and my friends were stylists, and my friends made movies, and like all of this stuff. So like I had all the fucking things that society says, you know what I mean? An apartment in Williamsburg. I get to go to these parties. I get to socialize with these people. I wear these clothes. I have had these experiences before, and I've had all that stuff. And I was like, why do I still feel like I'm not enough? And that's where I realized that like it doesn't matter how much I have, it matters how I feel on the inside. And that's like a spiritual connection for me. And like for me, it's like spiritual just is like I'm very big into consciousness. Like we are all energy, positive and negative, ebbing and flowing with each other at our most quantum level. That's all we all are. And we find energy we're attracted to and energy that repels us. But like what's bringing more positivity into the world, and like how are we connecting with each other? And like that's more of my spiritual essence, is like how do we bring more love, compassion, and kindness into the world? How do I show adversity my compassion? Like when I have a difficult person in my life, how do I not match their frequency and go lower, and I keep myself higher? And like how do I connect with nature and make that a part of my life? Everything to me, whether it's like moon cycles or chakras, all these woohoo things some people think, but like all are spiritual, they're just lessons to be learned. You don't have to believe that they have an effect, but if you look at what they're trying to teach you, how can you evolve and grow from that place? Not necessarily believing that this is 100% right, but taking the thought itself and expanding on it and how it can influence your life.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to do, is like have deep, meaningful conversations about like consciousness and spirituality and like what's going on and like how can we help each other.
Yeah. How this is gonna sound like I'm playing the devil's advocate.
That's okay. I love the devil.
You're so wonderful and curious to me. Like you're making me very curious about you, because this might turn into a fucking therapy session.
That's
for
okay.
Billy. Like, what do you like now?
Yeah.
Like, are you the type of person, if somebody does come into your life, whether it's in the recovery community or in your personal life, are you able to easily just cut someone off? Or do you have the more of the mentality of, you know what, they're going to get a second chance, but with some boundaries, and maybe I can just communicate with them and let them know that, you know, hey, what you did here was,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
This is something that I've tried to learn because I help so many people, and a good amount of people know who I am within the recovery community. I talk to a lot of people and I connect with a lot of people, and it was really difficult because as you go through stages of recovery in year 1 and year 2 and year 3, you have different needs, and there's different people who come into your life that serve a purpose, but they're not meant to be in your life forever.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to evaluate, is like, when am I willing to let somebody go, and not let somebody go in a fuck you, I don't want you in my life anymore.
Right.
But like having these honest, compassionate conversations. And my friends all know, like, so I do this thing, I have a conversation with you, and then I have not expectations, I would call them like boundaries for what I deserve from a friendship,
Right.
or a relationship. And I'll have a conversation with you, and then once I've had the conversation and I don't think things are changing, I write you a letter.
You write a fucking letter.
I write a
like
letter.
A
literal letter that, like, it takes me about 5 to 7 days, and I write the letter because there's usually some type of anger or resentment or fear underneath it. So I'm like, let me make sure I'm getting my point across, and let me make sure I don't want to bring up trivial things that don't mean anything. I want to get to the root cause of what's bothering me in the relationship. So I write this letter, and I read it over, and I remove stuff that's too emotional. This is unnecessary. That's just tit for tat. That doesn't serve a purpose here. What is actually going on that I need you to address? And then I write this letter, and I tell you I have a letter for you. All my friends know if you get a letter, there's something not going right.
Right. Holy shit, you
And-
break it down.
Because I want to be upfront, but I don't want to get caught in the emotion when I'm trying to explain something. to you.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, and in what's been successful for me is like I write this down and then I read it fully through. So like I don't go off on tangents. I don't get stuck on this emotion that I got pulled in by, this anger, this fear. This is exactly what I want to say. I put time and effort into it because at the end of the day, I love this person and I care for this person, but I need them to understand that if they don't make these changes, I can't allow them to be in my life anymore.
Yeah.
And then I read it to them and I'm like, I would like your feedback on whether you agree with this or there's anything that I've been doing that's been affecting you. And in my experience, most people are like, I agree with everything that you're saying. And then they still don't change. And then we naturally just pull apart. Because I'm like, I'm not going to go out of my way to call you. I'm not going to go out of my way to invite you to specific things if I know that you're not giving me the respect and the what I need to be in a relationship with somebody.
Right.
And I consider intimate relationships and friend relationships, I give them both the same amount of attention.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's important that the people around me know exactly how I feel. I'm a big crier.
Yeah.
I express emotion very deeply, and I want people to know that, like, I love so deeply, and I think as alcoholics, addicts, whatever you want to call us, I think we actually experience emotions so much deeper than other people.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think it affects the way we process the world, and we weren't given the correct tools to cope with these deep feelings. So I embrace them, and I'm like, I hold space for tears, and I hold space for anger too. You know what I mean? If anybody needs to feel any way, they need to express it, and then we can talk about it after and be like, maybe we should fucking think about that next time. Because I'm all about like allowing you to have your space, but then still following that up with like okay, we had this, but like this is not acceptable.
I bet you have some beautiful, dope ass handwriting. Are the letters in cursive?
No, I have like bubble girl handwriting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, those are happy letters.
Yeah, I have super happy letters.
I'm glad you're reading it to them because then they may not get the point from all the happy fucking
Oh,
letters.
no, I write it down and then I type it up. And,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, everything gets typed up. I get super like, this is like a professional conversation. And then I print you a copy and me a copy so we can both read through it together.
Holy shit, that's so organized.
I'm standard operating procedure is my best friend.
Oh, that's so cool. You know what I love about that tactic is to somebody who, and you're right, we think differently than normies.
Yeah.
I don't like saying that word because it is what it is. But because that can go two different ways, and that kind of answers your question. If they sit down, they're like, I'm not reading this fucking letter, then kick fucking rocks.
Yeah, I've never had that before.
Oh, I bet. But also, it's like one of those things. It opens anybody with any sensible heart would say, "Oh shit, Travis just did all this work for it. I need to be the type of human that's going to sit here and have an open mind for this." You know, like, and I think somebody who wasn't, one of us may take it as, well, why is this all about you and your problems with me and not, So it kind of, there's just so many routes that can go. And I think if you do it the correct way, especially with the awesome bubble letters, that it would end up as a happy moment, at least initially.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. I like that.
Yeah.
I need to do that because I'm a fucking dick when I get, like, if I have a problem with you, I don't wait. I don't analyze. I'm just like, here you go.
And it's a fine line because there's something, these are people who are very close to me. I'm talking, this is like inner circle shit. You know what
okay. I
mean?
got
This is like the people who are in my life on a regular basis. This wouldn't be a participant at one of my meditation or who comes to this is like my ride or die hose.
Look, so if I said something to you that offended you right now, you wouldn't call me and be like, "Hey Billy, we need to get together."
No.
Read these letters.
I would probably, I don't get offended quite easily.
Yeah, me either.
I'm kind of like, okay, if you were to like verbally like assault me or like physically do something to me,
Right.
that would be a whole different ball game. But a lot of times I'll allow that person, because usually somebody's coming from anger or fear or whatever and they just want to be an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
I let it fizzle, and the next time I see them, I'm gonna be like, hey, I just want to talk about the other day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like I'm not one to like fix something with somebody I give no fucks about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This asshole in a meeting or on the street or something, like I'm not wasting my energy and my frequency on this. Like somebody wants to say a derogatory statement to me off of the thing, I'm gonna keep it moving.
Yeah.
Like, because you're not gonna take my peace and serenity, and I'm not gonna engage with that behavior. I'm gonna give you exactly what you deserve, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know what I mean? I don't want to feed into these bad behaviors.
I kind of think so. When I got sober, like I was just done. I was done. My best friends were like, dude, you gotta go. I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck you, we're done. You know, like so I cut everything off. Like
Yeah.
if you weren't in my immediate like blood family, or the people that were there telling me I had an issue and being supportive about it, or if you were somebody I drink and partied with, you were gone. Like, I was very blunt about it. I wasn't nice
Yeah.
about it. But at that point, it was like, enough's enough. You know, like when you got sober, were you able to easily, and this is why I'm asking the question, because you're so amazing at communicating people and your problems with them or potential problems. Like, were
Well,
you
I don't-
able to
I-
just write people off?
I mean, I moved to a whole different state.
Oh yeah,
Do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
lived in New York City for 10 years before I moved here.
Yeah,
So, like, I removed myself from that situation, and, like, I hid. Like, when I moved here, there were other extenuating circumstances while I was hiding, which I'm not going to discuss.
Fine.
But there, I removed my Instagram, I removed my Facebook, I removed my Snapchat. I kind of fell off
hmm
of the world for probably 2 years after I moved down here.
yeah,
And it was so liberating, but also I didn't have that pull to go back to people. Like there was
Yeah.
like I have about 5 friends who still live in New York City that I talk to.
hmm
But other than that, everybody, I don't see that as my home anymore. I after being here for 6 months, I realized like I'm not going back.
yeah,
I thought this was going to be a little bit of a pit stop. I would get my shit together and like potentially go back. And like after starting the journey, I realized like I don't want to go back into luxury fashion. I don't want to go into the rat race of New York City. Like what I learned here is like I needed time to discover who I was.
hmm
I needed to discover what I wanted. I needed to define my morals and values. I needed to figure out what worked for me as new coping strategies. I had to create this whole new life for me so I wouldn't go back to the other one.
yeah,
And that's what I feel like a lot of people in recovery don't do. They don't create a new life. They try to hold on to their old life and make it fucking work.
yeah,
So for me, it was like I'm gonna go whole. You know what I mean? I meditate every single day for at least 25 minutes. I used to do 3 times a day for a half an hour. But like
wow,
I'm an avid meditation is such a huge part of my life, and I believe it allowed me to be the person I am today. Because when you learn to sit in silence and you learn not to react to your feelings and you start to understand that what's happening around you doesn't have to actually exist within you,
hmm
it shifts the way that you interact with the world, because you now have this tool that allows you, no matter where you are or where you're going or who you're with, that's free, that you can anchor in. You know what I mean? And it starts with our breath, and then we get connected with our body, and then we open up to our feelings. And like I did this meditation journey along with my recovery journey, and I think that's why my mind was a little bit more expansive. I knew the problem wasn't the drugs, it was me. You know what I mean? I could see all of these things that don't align with like balance and ease. I always ask myself, is this balanced and is this sustainable? Like when I'm having adverse reactions or physiological reactions to people or relationships, I'm like, is this balanced and is this sustainable? Because asking myself those 2 questions, I know the answer. The question is, am I going to take the steps necessary to either let it go or correct the issue.
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself not opening up to new situations, new people to protect yourself?
I'm pretty open.
You're pretty extroverted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I interact. I'll talk to anybody. I love meeting new people. I love going out to dinner with people. I love going to meet strangers. Like I meet people every single Monday that I've never met before because they
Yeah.
come in and out. So like I like that. There's a level of, I would call it phases. There's like the outer phase of like people who come to see me because I'm a practitioner or because they're a part of the community.
Mhm.
And then you have like that people who see you on a regular basis, but like you don't talk to them every day. And then that like a best friend circle on the center. And this is where I blur the lines between everything. And then I make excuse. I've gone through these moments, especially in the beginning, where I allowed people to have bad behavior.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that I didn't have to put up with that. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that a lot of us have to learn is like the letting go. Somebody who helped you in your first 30, 60, or 90 days, most likely is not going to be someone who's helping you 3 years in, who's helping you 7 years in.
No.
And you have to be willing to let people go.
Yeah.
And not because anything's wrong, just because you no longer align with each other's values.
And after a while, after you've had some clean or sober time, your mind goes through different phases at different times.
Yeah.
It's kind of now that I'm thinking about it, and it's the first time I've actually thought it like this, and I hate to put it this way because it's fucking stupid. It's kind of like high school. It's kind of like high school in the way of you're very rarely going to have many of your friends where you were a freshman to where you're a junior.
Yeah.
You know, I tell my teenage kids that all the time. I'm like, they're like, oh, well, somebody, you did this. And I'm like, you're not going to fucking know them in 4 years. Like, I mean, I'm 44. I've been out of high school since 1998. One person that I'm still friends with.
Yeah, I don't have any friends from high school.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Like it's
My high school was also 100 kids in my graduating.
Oh, really?
It was horrible. I also came out at 15, and that was like that was early, so it was like
So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Middlesex Borough. It's in New Jersey.
Okay.
So it was like this little town, and like my whole family lived there. And my mom grew up there. My dad grew up in the next one, and like our principal was my mom's gym teacher, and the high school had 4 hallways, and everybody fucking knew us, and it was just like, oh god.
Yeah, I came from a small town too.
Yeah.
A very, very small redneck town. And
You didn't pick your
Right,
friends.
right.
You just had people whose parents let you drink at their house.
right. Well, I was a big band in Chorus Geek.
Yeah.
So like all my friends were those theater nerds that
Yeah.
I still would love.
I did
Like,
theater nerds. I played football. I kind of like,
Yeah.
I chameleoned around because I was like, I just got to do all the things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I learned to chameleon really early.
Yeah,
Like,
see, I'm not good at it.
Yeah. I'm like, I can tell you what you need to know, so you give me what I need.
Right. See, I'm just more of just kick open the door and take what I need. That's how I was.
Yeah.
For a certain thing. But what I mean is like I've noticed after 7 years, I had one stage at like 3. Like I met my wife a year and 2 months in my sobriety.
Mhm.
Now, the whole thing, you're not supposed to date within the first year. I don't think anybody fucking listens to that.
I
Did you?
Yeah.
I was not. No, I was like 4 days out of treatment, like driving some drunk.
I also have limited choices down
Right.
here.
I don't know how big the community is.
It's not very big.
Like I don't know. Like I know when it comes to women, I think it's a lot larger.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know of like 4 sets of like married couples, and then they all have a lot of friends that I saw at a birthday party. I'm like, holy shit, where are all
Where'd
these
you all
ladies?
come from popping out of?
All these lesbians coming from? Shit.
I didn't know this is what we're doing on Sundays.
No, I mean it's one of those things. After 3 years, like I kind of had a moment to where
I'm just thinking of like everybody had their U-Hauls and their cats out front when they went to the barbecue.
27 Subarus came out, brought Huskies out of the back. All of them called Sherman. After like 3 years, I had this moment to where, and after 3 years, well, I also became a dad, but which was,
Blew your mind.
oh my god, dude! Like I had a doctor tell me that it was never like, dude, that thing's never gonna create a child, and I just want to take my daughter back and be like, look at you, motherfucker,
Liar!
liar. But you have these phases, and I've talked about these with almost everybody, on this show. It's
a podcast.
no, leave me alone. We
Let's get honest.
It is. It fucking is. It's like after 3 years, I kind of had that moment to where I was less angry and saw the world differently. Like I was more accepting of like when me and my wife like moved in together when we weren't married and before we were even engaged, because that didn't happen until we just celebrated 1 year being married. We've been together for over 6.
Yeah.
Like,
But
but
we
we had both.
you necessarily need to get married.
No, we don't.
It's
And we've
just
been
like
married
a fucking thing.
before.
Yeah.
But like we've both been married before, so none of us were in a hurry. But I had this thing where I was like, okay, well, here's all these people that Robin knows that are coming in. I don't want them in my fucking house. Like I know I'm keeping this really tight, and I had to like realize that she was gonna have all these people that she knew before me that she loved and cared about.
Yeah.
And if I didn't want my daughter to have 2 Christmases,
Yeah.
I needed to really
compromise.
And it turns out like I like a lot more
You
people.
don't hate it.
Yeah, I like a lot more people than I thought I would ever like.
Yeah.
Because I've always been kind of tight knit.
You probably like yourself a little bit more right now than
I
you used to.
I'm that happy. I love myself more than I ever
Yeah.
have.
So when you love yourself, you want to share your love
That's
with other
true.
people. So you're allowing more people to come into your periphery because you don't need to hide
Yeah,
anymore.
and I trust more.
Yeah.
Like I've never been trusting.
Yeah.
I'm more apt to deal with someone's characteristics that I don't agree with or
Yeah.
would never associate myself with. Like I got a friend. He's the most racist person I've ever met. But it's kind of like he doesn't like come out and say stuff. So it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
All right. Plus our kids are friends, and that'll hurt my
Yeah.
kid's heart. I mean, otherwise, fuck him. But like, I'm more accepting of people's
Flaws.
flaws that may not be their fault. I'm not saying that guy, racist guy, that's not his fault. I'm pretty sure he's nurtured that one since he was a kid.
Yeah. He was also
But-
given those tools when he was a child.
Oh,
as well.
very much so. I
I
met his dad. Holy shit.
You think he's bad? You should meet his dad.
Yeah. Oh my God, man. This guy walked in and he hated every white person in the room. I was just like, what did I ever do? He's like, it's just the way he is, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are we friends? He was like, you're pink. You're not white. Like, you're ginger. So when in the past, it's just been just over 3 years, right?
Yeah, well, I was so when I moved here in the beginning of, oh my God, what year was that? 2020, January 2020.
Yeah.
So like I was clean all the way up into like 2 months for basically like a year and a little bit before I relapsed. So like I had a whole year of recovery, not within a 12-step fellowship of like I did smart recovery and Dharma recovery and like I took all these like different, I had all the knowledge, I got all the tools and stuff.
Yeah.
So like really since the beginning of 2020 I've been on a recovery journey. That was like the beginning of like realizing like I need to change. That's when I started meditation. That's when I've been clean. Like my clean 100% clean is June 1st 2021, but I was doing all of the things prior to that date.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean. Like you have your official
Clean
day,
day, but I've been
you have
working on
your-
myself since 2020.
Yeah. Then you have your personality cleansing day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we got to purge. This bitch is dirty. I'm like, I don't even know why you're keeping this in the closet anymore.
Dude, you're so lucky and to be able to have realized that before you actually got clean.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't happen. very often. I think if it does, it's in a very short time frame.
Yeah.
Like I woke up one morning, said this had to end, went to rehab that night, and then, but
Yeah.
it's. I don't even think there was a time to where like before that. Well, I honestly I don't remember because
Yeah.
I was bad drunk and with all the pills mixed in. Anyway, fuck war stories. I don't remember having a time period to where I was like, I need to do something about this.
Yeah.
Like I think I was just having too much fun.
Yeah, no, I never had that. Like the reason that I got fired from my job, I got a severance check after I was fired for quite a large amount of money, and then I decided to go into distribution of what I'm not going to discuss.
Right.
And then I did that for 2 years. but then-
Designer clothes.
Designer clothes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Resale. And you know what I mean? If you need it, I got it.
right.
And then at that, but like got crazier and crazier and crazier. And then by the end of it, I had stopped doing all that, but I was still spending money. And then I was homeless in New York City.
Oh wow.
Like I went from like up here to like all the way down here, like sleeping on the subway, like in buses, like going from person's house to person's house, like fucking crazy.
I spent
Like
2 nights in an alley in Soho.
yeah.
When I was a touring lighting designer, the tour manager, we got drunk one night and he kicked me out of the hotel, and it was during a hurricane. It was 2013 or 12 where the hurricane
that
went through
Sandy?
New York. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sandy,
Oh
I
my
was
god.
in Soho.
Oh my god. That flooded bad.
Yo, I
That
wanted
was
to
like
go.
there was like river rapids going through
Yes.
the subways and shit.
I woke up the next morning and I was in an alley on top of trash bags, and it was right.
No one noticed.
No one noticed. No one noticed. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to go walk around before we leave thinking there's a hurricane. We're not going to fucking leave. And then there's no phone. I didn't have anything. So I was trying to like, oh, I've never seen a subway. I'm going to go look at the subway. And there's people like, you can't get down there. It's all water. And I'm looking and it's like
Yeah.
right at the entrance. I'm like, holy shit. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to walk back. Luckily, my bus is about to leave. And that guy was about to leave me. But yeah, I can only imagine like actually having no choice. But because like I said, I've never been on a subway. Or in New York, I haven't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was the only time I've actually been there.
Yeah.
Was during a hurricane and
Yeah.
drinking at an Irish bar. But I can only imagine like how like I had all kinds of shit in my clothes and in my hair just from pretty sure I had like cuts on my back from sleeping on a garbage bag because
Yeah.
people show. Anyway, I digress. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, you're chill.
Continue.
No, but it's like so, and I think that's where I'm able to have like the humility and also the ability to resonate with so many people is because I've lived in this tiny little life, so many different lives that have existed for me.
Yeah.
And I can empathize with people, and I realize like we're all doing the best we fucking can.
Yeah.
But it's wild. It's like to be on top of the, and like I think now I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. I wouldn't be the most successful by societies, but I think for me, I'm the most successful I've ever been. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm the
Mhm.
most consistent I've ever been. And that I truly believe it's because I fell in love with helping people.
That's good. Now, all right, let's be real.
Yeah.
You don't judge at all.
No,
Like,
I judge.
Okay,
I'm
say.
like, I judge.
Okay.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
I was gonna
like, I
say.
judge. I'm like, that bitch needs to wake up. You know what I mean? I'm like, does he realize he's sleeping in the middle of a meeting? I'm like, does she know she's a Karen or does she think she's a Debbie? I'm not sure.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah, no,
you
no, no.
still have the whole charisma
Yeah.
of a human.
Yeah, I'm still a human being, and like I do judge people, but like I figure out how long I'm going to do that,
Right.
and like I don't use judging other people as a way to connect with other people anymore.
Right.
Like I'm not
that's
gonna. Do you know
so
what I mean?
important,
We're
yeah.
all naturally going to judge something because everything falls into a category: pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral.
Right.
If it's neutral, we throw it away. If it's pleasant, we want more of it. If it's unpleasant, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, am I using information about other people to connect with other people? Or am I just being like with my best friend, like, oh my God, I was at blah, 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 and this happened.
Yeah.
I hope they find that. Like, it's always, we judge, and then I'm like, I hope they find the help that they need. I'll even go to people and be like, I don't know if you know this, but you're a mess.
That's the same thing as saying bless their heart.
I know.
And No, there's a difference between like is that they know they're a fucking Karen or a Debbie, and then or just saying that one thing. That's a joke.
Yeah.
Like the thing is I think the difference between judging and humor has been made such a fine line,
now.
and it's so dumb. Like I quit comedy like a year ago.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, no
anymore.
vibing.
Yeah, like it was just like one of those things. Is
Fuck
like
that shit.
I don't find exactly. I was like, I don't find what I found funny 5 years ago, which is so blue.
Yeah.
Like it didn't. I didn't even know what was going to come out of my mouth. Like about anything. I would joke about everything, and at least it was funny.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I'm a pretty funny guy when it's like written out and I know what I'm
Yeah.
going. But it's the ad libs in between that. But now I'm like, I don't think half of that stuff is funny or fair to joke about. Like I've kind of become like I'm almost to where the world is now. Like I'm more sensitive about things
Yeah.
like everybody else. No, that fucking sucks. Like I needed that, and that's the only thing I can say about now about my personality that I'm not crazy about. I mean, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna be like, oh, I need to change this. I'm more conscious of other people's feelings of what comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
You probably consider that a good thing.
Yeah.
For
That's a wonderful thing.
For someone that spent the past 13 years like living in a bubble of this is going to make this room full of people laugh.
Yeah.
It might offend this person, but the rest of these people are gonna fucking love it.
Yeah.
It's been kind of hard to
find your voice again.
yeah, like I still I mean I think now it's like this has helped.
Yeah.
You know, like this has been great because I we were talking before, like I didn't do anything about my recovery. I would go to meetings and pick up chips because I wanted to show the newcomer it could happen and all that.
All the things they tell you to do.
All the things they tell you to do. Well, only the one thing that they tell you to do. Other than that, I couldn't do a lot of meetings.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much variation in meetings. It's
Yeah.
its own place.
It is. It's its own place. I think maybe it was just the locations. Because I never really branched out. Like I just went to one.
Yeah, I've gone to lots of meetings,
Yeah.
like, all over the place, and sometimes I'm in it, and sometimes I'm not. You know what I mean?
I did
I
it
don't-
during early recovery.
Yeah, early recovery, I was there all the time,
Everywhere.
all the time, everywhere. But then it comes to a point where, like, for me personally, I don't find it as helpful
Mm-hmm.
because, like, I'm hearing much more negativity that's not adding something into my life.
Right.
And I'm a big proponent. If I don't like the atmosphere of the meeting, I'm going to share something to change it.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm very big into spiritual principles, talking about love and compassion. Are we in the problem? Are we in the solution? How am I evolving? How am I perceiving differently? Like, that's me. Like, that's what I love. But, like, you find sometimes that's not a lot. And, like, I also want to do other things with my life.
Yeah.
Like, I have an organization that I run, and I do meditations, and I also do other clubs and stuff because, like, I don't want my life to be as small as it was before when I was using.
Mhm.
And sometimes, and I know this is controversial, but some people are like, your life should be in a 12-step fellowship. And I'm like, no fucking way.
No fucking
not
way.
gonna happen. Not
Mm-mm.
doing it. I'm not like, no, you can't make me choose all of my friends from meetings.
Yeah.
Like, I have amazing friends and amazing connections with people who aren't in the rooms.
Yeah.
And I think in order to grow, in order to change, you need to have a wide variety of people in your life that are going to support you in different areas.
You do. And you also can't. I found, and I think that was the biggest thing for me of like kind of getting out of the rooms and not going as much, is I was way too worried that my life would become all about recovery. Like I wanted to be conscious and know
Yeah.
myself and know I didn't want to focus more on who I was. I wanted to focus more on being the best I could be.
Yeah.
And I wasn't finding any progression,
Yeah.
you know?
There's a plateau period where, like,
Yeah.
especially like It's like I don't resonate with. I don't personally like saying I'm an addict or an alcoholic
Right.
at things because like I think it reinforces a negative behavior. I also don't like when people refer to themselves as like I was a crackhead, I was a junkie, I was a
Yeah.
drop down this. I'm like, okay, we're all fucking sitting here, so we all know we deserve our seat. What are we doing about? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I understand. I love this for you. Let's move on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what does your spiritual journey look like? What does your recovery journey look like? How are you navigating difficulties in life?
Yeah.
How are you not like? I want to know the deepness, and like sometimes it's just it doesn't go.
I think that's where my patience for the rooms, I need to be better, because a lot of times when you hear those things, it's from the newcomers who, well,
I would.
I said a lot of times. Now, I know a few times to where like I've been the one where it was the same very experienced life person saying the same, like, and I'm like, all right, man, like I get it. Yeah, you're right. We've all earned our seat here. Here's a question for you. This is one that I like to ask everybody, and I think you are more than likely going to give an amazing answer. So just like when we dream, you can have a dream that maybe lasts a month and 10 seconds.
Mhm.
You know, you could sit here and you could probably think about your entire life in 10 seconds.
Mhm.
Starting with that, what is one characteristic
Mhm.
from when you were in active addiction or using, drinking, whatever the fuck you want to call it? Do you sometimes get caught off guard that pops back up and you're like, whoa, there's that motherfucker? And then how do you, what coping mechanism or trait do you have to kind of chew that back, recognize, acknowledge, and improve?
What would be the most prominent one? I think the one that I go into it like consistently for myself that I've always working on is gossip judgment. I teeter totter in between the two of those because like I'm really manipulation is like very it's easy for me to get what I want,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's very easy to judge and gossip in order to like get my point across about other people. I don't do it as much now, but I do find myself getting pulled into why am I and my question I ask myself is like why am I saying this right now?
Yeah.
Like why am I repeating this information? And that's what I have to look at, and that's where I find that I struggle the most is with judgment and gossip. I'm like, does it really matter that this person did this? Why am I choosing to share this with other people? And like for me, it's usually because I don't like that person and I don't respect that person and I want to make other people not respect them.
Yeah.
And like I know that's a thing I struggle with. And it's not because I want to be mean to them. It's like I want other people to know and agree with me that they're also a piece of shit.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that would be one of my that would be one of the this sounds so vain, but like I've changed so much. Like even my parents are like, I don't know this person. Like my dad was saying the other day, he was just like, "You're so different."
But that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful thing. But like I'd have to say, yeah, like judgment and also perfectionism is something that I struggle with and I did struggle with before.
Right.
With the need to be perfect, to present a specific way, to always have the answer. I'm getting better at I'm very vulnerable. I will tell you if I fuck up. I communicate about the things, but like in the back of my mind is like this could be better, this should be farther, this should be this. I don't feed into those thoughts as much anymore. They don't affect the way I interact with the world, but they do pop up. When I'm like they used to come out in fear. In the beginning, it was anger. I would get frustrated when something wasn't going right, and then I would take it out on other people.
Right.
I shed that layer, and then it would be internal. You could tell by the look on my face that I wasn't happy with something that I was providing or doing, and then I've kind of shed that one, and now I go to, well, this isn't fucking working out the way we were supposed to. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I've realized, like, when I bring humor and I bring playfulness to these emotions that I struggle with, it's easier for me to accept them for what they are, part of being a human being.
Yeah.
And that's like with judgment and gossip. I'm like, wow, I've been talking shit for like 10 minutes. We gotta change the topic. Why did no one tell me this?
Oh, they knew.
I know. I'm like,
fucking
why
knew.
is no one calling me out? And they're like, and I'm like, I don't understand.
You're scared.
Yeah. I know. People say I'm really intimidating, and I'm like, I don't understand. Can you tell me more?
I don't think you're intimidating. I think if you're confident, and if you're carrying yourself with that confident while gossiping,
Yeah.
I think it's for somebody that doesn't know you that well, they'd be like, "Oh man, there's no way that guy's not telling the truth."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have it down to where you can say something to where it's gonna be believed.
Yeah.
And I think, man, that's a good one too, man. Like that's a really good one to be able to acknowledge and catch yourself doing that. Will you, if you're doing that in public, will you publicly chew it back, or do you
Yeah,
just
I-
kind of like shut up and cower down?
No. I'll actually be like, wow, I just went on a tangent.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, we need to change. Like, I do call myself out, and I think that's what people respect is, like, I will, like, change the subject once I become aware of it. And it's not like it's something that happens all the time, but it's still something I feel like it's better to acknowledge than try to pretend like you didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sick of shoving shit under the rug.
It's such a it never leads to a good mental state.
No.
Like guilt is my horrible.
Yeah.
Like I don't like to feel guilty.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't have a lot of guilt.
I have some more now than I used to.
Yeah.
I used to have none.
Yeah.
Like amends, I don't have any amends. I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Like if I did something, I did something. Tell me I did it. I'll tell you I'm sorry if I'm sorry. If I'm
Yeah.
not, I
keep
hope
it moving.
Yeah, keep it moving.
Bye, Felicia. I'm going to hang out with Becky with the good hair.
But guilt is something that I have now more than ever. But I have to rectify it real quick.
Yeah.
Like if I say something
That
like
offends somebody.
I really don't care.
Yeah. We're gonna move on.
It's more of like oh, what was the last thing it was? Oh, it was kind of a gossip thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody asked me something, it was about comedy, and they asked me about a person, and I said something that I heard that I knew probably wasn't true, but said it as a fact. Now, this was something that would have obviously made somebody, regardless if they're a good person or a bad person, more than likely they have a black heart, but that's on them,
Yeah.
not me. I shouldn't add.
They're
into
dying
the
on the
shit.
inside, not you.
Exactly. Like I felt horrible about it. So like 20 minutes later, I had to call the person up. I'm like, hey, look, what I said there, I really don't know that for sure. They're like, oh yeah, no, I figured you were just fucking around. I'm like, okay, good. And then I felt better.
Yeah.
Like it's even the little things
Yeah.
about
Well, I don't
guilt.
know if that's so much guilt or like awareness.
Mm,
Like, or do you feel like guilt? I feel like is something that like gnaws at you incessantly. Like, and even if you like still rectify the situation, it doesn't go away.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I feel like I prevent guilt, I think, more than anything. Like I had a marriage to where my ex was not faithful, let's just put it that
Yeah.
way. But I mean, at the end of it, neither one of us were.
Yeah.
But I now, like, I respect my wife so much. I will not put myself in a situation
Yeah.
that will put any thought in her head of, well, what was he doing there?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want her to have any paranoia because I lived in paranoia and I
Yeah.
know how horrible it makes your soul feel.
yeah.
So it's like, that would make me feel guilty and I know it and it would hurt my heart. So I don't want that. Like I walk on eggshells for those I love to not put myself in situations that can make them feel bad.
Yeah. You have a new set of morals and values.
Holy fuck, I do!
Yeah, I'm like, why are we not getting to the root of this? You just have
Oh.
new morals and values. This is not guilt.
That's so fucking dumb. What happened to goddamn Billy Freight Train? No one's ever called me that. It's not.
Why do you keep lying?
No one's ever called me that. Somebody actually posted on Facebook a couple weeks ago, like, man, what you or sent me a message. You used to be so cool and so funny. You were the Rain Train. I'm like, no motherfuckers ever called me the Rain Train ever in my life. And you, sir, I don't even remember you.
Block.
Yeah. Oh, I did.
No.
I did.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. No,
I
I
love
block people like, I don't care. I don't want my feed to be political. I don't want my feed to be hateful. I want to talk about, I want to see RC cars because they just entrance me. It's like people watching power washing. Like,
or cooking with tiny instruments.
oh, this fucking
I don't understand. I'm like, why are you all watching them cook tiny food? Or unwrapping presents. Go open your own presents.
But then little tiny eggs look good as fuck.
Oh my god, are the little cucumbers and little knives? I'm like, and then they actually cook this shit. And I'm like, wait, are you actually cooking this? Is this like a real thing?
I'll watch that all day, and kids getting hurt. Like, I'll watch kids falling off of slides all fucking day. So that's what I want on my feed.
Yeah.
If something political comes, I don't care if it's from what other side, I'm unfollowing.
Yeah,
like, I don't want to see it. I'm
like, everybody has their opinion. I was like, keep them to yourselves. I was like, we're gonna get through this. It's gonna be just fine.
Last question for you. Again, you can think of your whole life in 10 seconds. Looking back to when you were at your darkest moment, to at this point, as you're sitting here with me right now, what are you the most proud of?
That's so. That word I have like an adverse reaction to, because that's like not a word I heard a lot. I think I'm most proud of the person that I've become. That I don't have to find validation from other people any longer. Not to say that I don't like it, but I don't search for it anymore. I'm really proud that like I can support myself and support other people on whatever healing journey that they're on. And I'm proud that I just want to bring more love and compassion and kindness into the world. Like, I want to just, that's what I do. You know what I mean? Like, I can be funny, I can do all this stuff, but like at the end of the day, like, I just want people to be okay.
Yeah.
I just want people to know, like, there's somewhere to go and there's someone to talk to. And like, even if you don't have the answers, that's totally fucking okay. Even if you don't make the right decision, that's totally okay. You know what I mean? Learn, you know what I mean? There's people to help support you. Because at the end of the day, I think the world needs more love.
Yes. Goddamn right.
And like, we need the ability, like, compassion everybody thinks is like joy and happiness, but it's like our ability to come close to the pain of others and our own pain and not need to change it.
Right.
We just, if I started respecting my pain at an earlier age rather than trying to hide from it, I think my life would have turned out a lot differently.
Right.
And that's what I do today is like, I'm really proud that I can get close to my pain and the pain of others, and not have to change it, but just see it for what it is.
Yeah.
Just a part of life.
So less, more of, instead of just, and you're right. I mean, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, because I think a lot of people try to go in and help and by wanting to fix. Sometimes somebody just wants someone to sit beside them.
Yeah.
You know? That's great. That's a great answer. That's a great answer. Travis, Kelly Gray said, you got to talk to Travis. And I'm like, who the fuck is Travis? And she was like, he runs the meditation class or meditation recovery. He's going to be great. And, you know, she's never told me anything that's false. And she was absolutely right. You are a very impressive human being. I really appreciate you letting us in this beautiful studio to chat and me to set up and us to talk. I appreciate it. We made my day. Thank you. I love your vibe.
Yes, I love your vibe. We're just vibing.
We're vibing.